Hi, we're about to take some photos of some items and get them ready to sell on eBay. So these are a lot of thrift store finds I picked up recently, and we might as well start here with this Nike golf hat. It's in really good condition. I'm not an expert on hats by any means, but I do look at them up quite a bit when I'm in the thrift stores or estate sales. It has a couple of loose threads I'm going to try to get off of it before I take some pictures. Sometimes these threads are just, they don't even need to be cut. They're just hanging on here by static. This one, I will cut this one. Okay. Then I'm going to just get any dust or hairs or lint or anything off with a little piece of tape. I just bought some lint rollers, but I didn't bring them down here. So I have a really nice Carhartt snowsuit I've been waiting to get listed until I had because it's covered with lint. It's brand new, but it just somehow got a lot of lint on it before I got ready to take pictures of it. Okay, so I'm going to do this through I'm just going to use my Android phone to take these photos, and I'll use the default camera app that comes with, this is a Galaxy 22, something like that. If you're taking photos for eBay, put them in the square format, 1:1. That's the format that eBay likes, and they look the best if you do it that way. I'm going to do, eBay allows you to do 24 photos. Oh, this has a little plastic tag. What do they call those things to hold your price tags on? Little plastic thing sticking through it. So I usually will do sort of at an angle, not perfectly straight on, make it look a little more dynamic, and then perfectly from the side, and then a little bit of a dynamic angle from the back, then perfectly from the back. So I might end up taking 12 to 15 photos of a single hat. So I want the buyer to have every chance to see if they want to buy this item or not. Then I'll do perfectly straight front from the front. I'll go to the top, do one from the top, and then we're ready to get a picture of the bottom. The bill is nice and clean. Make sure you get the sweatband so that they can see if this hat has been worn, if it has a lot of sweat on the sweatband. Get that. I want to get a close-up. I'm going to put it back here for a second. I'm going to get a close-up of this little tab that says Nike Golf. It seems like most of the golf stuff sells pretty well. I've got some golf things coming up here I'll be taking pictures of next. So brand name golf stuff, Nike, Callaways, that's what I'll be looking at next. There's a lot of different brands. So I'm going to get a good close-up of this tag as well. Sometimes you have to, these tags can be, these flippy tags can be bent and so in a way that you can't read them, and you have to hold them somehow. And I try my best to keep my fingers out of the photos. I don't really want the buyer to be thinking anything about me ever touching these items. I want them to think, look at what a nice item that is. So sometimes I use a pen or this is the little stylus that comes with this boogie board. I'll use that to just kind of hold things in place and then try to get my fingers out of the view of the camera. And then sometimes I'll use this as well to point out if there was a stain or something. I would use something like this to point to the stain to make sure that I don't want a buyer to get something and then realize it's not exactly what they thought they were getting. Okay, so I write all my drafts up on my laptop upstairs, and then I bring the items that are ready to photograph down here to my photo station. This is just a piece of, I guess it's something like melamine. It'd be like a siding or what would you call it? I think it's a kind of a plastic that you could put, you might see this in like a White Castle bathroom on the walls, something that's easy to clean. I like this better than paper because I can just spray it and wipe it with some paper towels if it gets any marks on it, where with paper I'd just be having to destroy the paper and throw it away. So like I was saying, I put the, I do the listings on the laptop, and then I save them as drafts, and then I go to the eBay app. Well, let's see, right now I have 27 drafts. I think we'll probably just do 5 items today, and then those other ones we'll save for photos for sometime during the week or sometime off camera. Okay, so I have 27 drafts. That's a little bit difficult to just scroll through to find the item I'm looking for. So in this case, I search for Nike. It's the first item that comes up, and then I can add my photos to it. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 15 photos of one hat. And like I said, eBay does allow you to do 24. And sometimes that's overkill, and sometimes you wish you could do more. I have a roll of plastic bags I usually put hats in. I seem to have misplaced it, so I'm going to go grab a different one, and we'll do this as fast as possible. Move on to the next item. Okay. Is this it? This will be good. Okay, so we'll put this hat in a bag and hang it on the wall here with the other hats, even though this hat wall is getting pretty full. So I'll tie it up. I won't tie it, I'll just twist it, and then I'll put one of these binder clips on here. And I've hung these ribbons from the wall here, and then I will just hang it, put the hat right on the ribbon with the clip. And so I have them labeled A, B, C, D, and then down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is going to be in the location wall D5. And I can add that information to the custom SKU field on eBay. I'll call it wall D5. The other information I put in here is the amount I paid for it, where I bought it from, and the date that I bought it. Some of this is overkill, but it is interesting to be able to look back and see, you know, I've owned this thing for, I sold it in only 1 month, or I sold it in 12 months. Okay, next thing we're going to do. These are crate and barrel. I can't tell you how many years I passed up crate and barrel items thinking that it was just sort of generic, you know, like department store pottery. But then I just saw some that looked nice, and I looked them up, and I realized that, boy, these things sell pretty good. And I think it's because they're so popular. You know, a lot of people are buying crate and barrel tableware, dining ware. And then a company like Crate and Barrel is constantly rotating they're changing their lines up all the time. So if you bought this bowl, if you bought a set of these bowls and then you broke one, you can't just go back to Crate and Barrel to buy one. Now you have to go to eBay or something like replacements.com to find a replacement. And replacements.com is much more expensive than eBay. So these bowls, let me go back to that hat and I'll tell you something I think about that. I paid $2 for it. I think I'm going to sell it for $27. Of course, I have offers on all these things. I usually put a minimum offer of about 20% off, because I don't want to deal with a lot of lowball offers. In this case, I'm going to do these in lots of 3. I don't want to have to ship 6 of these in one package. They are fragile and I don't want them to get broken. So I'm going to do these in lots of 3. So it'll be 2 eBay listings, where it'll be one listing with a multiple 2. So I'm trying to make this photo as dynamic as I can, get people interested, and also give them all the information that there's 3 bowls. I could see why they might have discontinued these, because they do not stack well. They have this little line on here that makes it look like they would stack perfectly, but you can see how, maybe you can see how they jiggle. And if I stacked all 6 of these up, there would be no way I could carry them in one hand. But 3 at a time is fine. Okay, these say designed by Aaron Probin. I think some companies like Crate and Barrel and also IKEA. Maybe you'll see some IKEA stuff coming up in the next few days. Early on they hired a lot of designers and advertised those designers right on their items. So those, if you see a Crate and Barrel and it has the name of the person who designed it, you should at least do some research and find out if they're worth buying and selling or not. I might as well run a tape measure across here and take a picture of that. You can only take, you can only be so interesting with these pictures of just bowls. They're kind of boring. So you want to get as many pictures as you can, but you don't really need to just duplicate the same information over and over again. So I think I've got 6 or 7 here. We'll just go ahead and do those. These are in absolutely perfect condition. They look like they have never been touched. I got these at a Wings resale shop. It's that's 7 photos. Wings, they are, it's not a big chain. There's maybe 3 or 4 in the area where I live. And they, I think their mission, they raise money for domestic abuse issues, I believe. It hasn't really been on my rotation of thrift stores to go to until recently. Some of their pricing is out of line, way too high, and other things are very inexpensive. Okay, let's figure out a place to store these and put it in the custom scoop field again. Okay, I'm only going to take 3 of these at a time because, like I said, they do want to tip over. They sell very good. I think somebody had just sold a set of 2 of these for $75 just for 2, and then someone else had a set of 3 that sold for a set of 4 that sold for $100. I've had 6, so I'm going to put them in. Like I said, I'm going to divide them up into 2 lots, and then I'm putting $75 for 3 bowls. I bought them for $2 a piece, so that's $12 total. That's going to result in $150 worth of sales. Okay, I usually keep all of my dishware in this closet, so this is going to be called CL left 1, 2, 3, CL left 3, I'll call it 3B. It's kind of in the middle of that shelf. Okay, let's type this in here. 3B. So that one's done. Okay, what are we going to do next? Big Bertha 3 iron. Big Bertha 3 iron. That's a 7. I'm going to do this. What do you call a golf club like this? Pitching wood? I don't know. It's a 2 wood. I got 5 of these Callaway brand golf clubs. Thrift stores are there's usually a lot of golf clubs there, and I don't know anything about golf clubs really, so I have historically just kind of glanced at them and then stayed away for the most part. I know that people really like Ping brand, but I don't know if, you know, a vintage Ping or an older one is worth any money. I have had good luck selling Callaway hats and shirts and things like that, so I saw this Callaway brand set of clubs, and so I thought it's probably worth it. And then I did a little research, found out that they're selling for about, I would say between 30 and 50 for each of these clubs. I'm going to go kind of on the low end because they take up a lot of space, and I don't have a huge amount of storage for something strange like this, strangely shaped. Oh, this is not the original grip. Is it? This says lambkin grip, so I'll have to edit the listing to let them know that it's not a Callaway brand grip. I have 5 of these. I'm just going to do one right now for the sake of this video, and then okay, GoPro shut down. I've been having this problem a lot lately, and I did order a new camera last night, so hopefully that will be here soon and we can just get back to making videos without having to restart this camera every 20 minutes. Okay, I don't really know how else to take photos of this. It's very difficult because of the shape, so I'm going to go ahead with the 6 or 7 shots I have and then get this ready to list. 7 photos. And I don't know really for sure where I'm going to store these because I don't have a good storage solution for something of this shape. But right now I'm going to put it, I have some posters. What do I have here? Posters, wallpaper. I have a few things hanging here. Baseball bat. I got a few things leaning right here against there, so I'm just going to call it that. I probably won't leave that there, but I'm going to put that in the custom SKU field right now to make sure I know where to find it if I want to move it. Okay, that's 3 items. While we're on the subject of golf stuff, I'm just going to take a photo of these. These are grips, replacement grips, Callaway. I don't think I even looked them up in the store. I just took a shot on it. I think I paid up for these a little bit for thrift store prices. I think they were $5.99, but there's 2, 4, 6 grips in here. It seems like in brand new condition like this, they're worth about $10 a piece. So I paid $5.99 or $6.99 for it, for them, and I will sell them for 60 to 70, maybe 55 if I take an offer. This bag is open, so I'll just slide one out and take some pictures of it close up. It's just a kind of a bag that would have been taped closed. I don't know if there are different models of grips. These don't really have any information on them like that. So here's an example where I want to hold it, but I don't want my fingers in the picture. So I'm going to do my best. There we go. Okay, there's 6 golf club grips. The eBay app has its own camera built into it. I don't think it's the best camera. It's often given me trouble with blurriness. Just you move the camera, if you move the phone at all while you're taking the pictures, even under the best lighting conditions, it's pretty bright right here. The camera will end up being, the photo will end up being blurry. Okay, there's 10 photos of that. I've got to find a location for this. I have a lot of these bankers boxes that I use to store things in, and I I'm not sure if they're the best because it's difficult to see from the outside if there's any empty space in them or not. So I'm thinking of a system where I put a post-it note or something on the outside of the box to indicate that there might be some space inside of it, so I don't have to look inside every box to see if it has room for me to put more items in it. This one is W5B. So this whole shelving unit is shelf W. Then I go from the bottom up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then A, B, and C. Right at this point, it's only me running this business, but if there was ever a time when I needed to, I don't know, let's just say I was in a car accident and I needed to ship things out, I think with the system I have, I could safely rely on asking somebody to help me. And I think they would be able to find anything that needed to go out in the mail. Okay, this could possibly be the best thing I've ever purchased. We'll find out. So it is a hardcover copy of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. I'm going to clean my lens a little bit. I'm going to point this down. Okay, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire is from 2000. It's difficult with books. I'm not a rare book expert. So it's hard to know if it's a first edition or first printing, or if it's a first edition, second printing. There's a lot of different things to look for. This one has the full number line. I'll show you that in a second when I go to photograph the inside pages. So usually books have a line of numbers that will say 10, it'll count down from 10 to 1. And if it has all 10 to all the way down to 1, then that's usually a first edition. This has a tiny little bit of dust smudge here, so I wrote about that in the item description, so I'm going to take a picture of it close up. And then there's another little bit. I have a bookmark here for a special page, so I'm just going to do something so that the bookmark doesn't show when I take this picture. So you can see this tiny little smudge right there. That's just a little dust, and I probably could get it off with a kneaded rubber eraser or something along those lines, but I don't want to take the risk of damaging this book, which I'll show you something here that hopefully will justify its value. Okay, so you probably won't be able to see this tiny print, but it counts down from 10 to 1, and then it has 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 4. I don't know exactly what those numbers mean, but it is stated right here, printed in the USA, first American edition, July 2000. So I think if that's stated on there, that's pretty good. That it has those 10 numbers is pretty good. Again, I'm trying to keep my fingers out of these pictures. I'm going to get a close-up of just the number line, and then this could be the part that makes this book extra valuable. I was reading about this during my research. So apparently the editor of this book changed some things around it just prior to publication, before it went to the printing press. And some of the information, like the order of events on this page, is not in the order that it's intended to be by J.K. Rowling. I don't know that you could tell from reading it if it was wrong. I read it and I didn't know if this was the book I was looking at or not, but it's supposedly a rare misprint, and that could make this book worth upwards of $1,000. I only paid $1.50 for it, and I'm going to list it. I'm going to start it at $1,200 and just see if I get any interest in it, and if not, then I'll just start lowering the price until I can sell it. I did see one that sold for $1,000 just recently in the last few months. So if that sells for $1,000 or $1,200, that would be one of the best sales I've ever had. For a book that was only $1.50, that'd be great. I'm going to take the dust jacket off. I mean, it is in immaculate condition, and the one that sold for $1,000 was not anywhere near as nice as this one. There's barely any wear on the dust jacket at all. And speaking of that, I think I will do a few close-up photos of the little bit of wrinkling that's on the dust jacket. It's a very, very minimal, but just kind of normal shelf wear. But let's get some pictures of it for the buyer to be aware of. I might be running out of my allotment of 24 photos with this book. For something that's going to be potentially worth $1,000, you want to get as many photos as you possibly can. In fact, some people might even take away more photos and then have a link somewhere to see more photos, or to do some sort of a collage in the eBay app. Okay. Let's find out how many photos that was. Okay, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. I put misprint right in the title, and I did not see anyone doing that. So I'm hoping that will draw in a little bit of attention. Okay, there we go. Exactly 24 pictures. I want to find someplace safe to keep this book, because if it is worth $1,000, I want it to be as protected as possible. So I might just put it inside of a box right now, and then put the box somewhere where it won't get any damage. I'm going to grab a box out here and put it in there for sure. I don't want to wrap it up too tight in case this is the sort of an item that's going to draw a lot of questions, and people are going to be asking for, can you show me more pictures of this, or can you look on page 12 to see if it says this. I've had that happen before. Years ago, probably the year 2000, something like that, when eBay was kind of just hitting the mainstream, and I was selling a few things on there. At that time I was buying a lot of records, LPs, and you could go to an auction and get an entire box of records for, nobody wanted them then. Maybe you would pay $1 for 400 records. And most of them at that time were, of course, valueless, but occasionally you'd run across one that was worth a little bit of money. And in this case that I'm about to tell you about, it was a Buddy Holly record. And apparently Buddy Holly, it used to just be called The Crickets, and they put out their first record under the band name The Crickets, and then when Buddy Holly got to be the star of the show, they changed it to Buddy Holly and the Crickets. So I had just an album that was just the Crickets. And back then it wasn't so easy to do research on eBay and figure out value, and it was also all auction in those days. There was no buy it now. You didn't even need to do a research. You would just let the market decide the price. So anyway, I was getting a lot of questions about that record, and it was people saying, they were telling me exactly what to look for. Look closely at this part of the label and see if it has these numbers or those numbers or whatever. And I can't remember. I mean, at that time I was a teenager, and I think I probably sold that record for $400, and it seemed like, okay, camera stopped again. So Harry Potter, I'm going to put this on one of these shelves in the living room. I have all of my eBay stuff here in an apartment, a small apartment that's in our basement. Oh, I'm running out of space. Right here. So this is living room LR7B. We'll get back to the app, put it in there, and then we're going to call it a day. LR7B. 7B. Okay, that's 5 photo sessions. These are all ready to list. I'll schedule them out over the next couple of weeks, and then you can take a look at my eBay shop if you're interested in purchasing any of this stuff or anything else that I have for offer. You can also subscribe if you like this type of video, and I'll be doing these every day, probably every day. I'll be doing photo shoot videos and order packing videos, so please follow along. Thank you so much. Have a great day.